Hello all. In this video we are going to talk about logic control and loop control basically, which is break and continue, and I also added goto, which is typically advised by programmers not to use because the controls that we have and the loops that we have and the conditionals are more than enough to write a beautiful program and do whatever that you need, and goto is basically sometimes can lead to undesired sequences of logic. So people typically do not like new programmers to use goto, but I just tell you what it is and then I let you decide whether you want to use it or not. So when we have a loop, there are two commands that allow us to control how we behave in the loop and which commands to use. One of them is break, the other one is continue. You have seen break already in switch, right? So it is going to break out of the program, and you can use it in switch too. It's not just limited to for and while and do while loop. You can use it in break in switch as well. So break will break out of the loop and stops the loop, while continue will pass the iterator to the next value. So basically it skips the commands below it for the current iteration, but it does not completely go out of the loop, just pass it to the next iteration. So to show you an example here, let's say I have a bunch of numbers that are positive, negative, 0, and I added them into this array numbers. And here I'm going to show the square root of 10 divided by that number if the number is positive. So the numbers that are positive, I'm going to show the square root of 10 over them. If the number is negative, I will skip over them because I don't want to take a square root of a negative number. And if the number is 0, since it's 10 divided by 0 is going to be infinite, I will break out of the loop. So as soon as I reach to a 0 number, I break out of the loop. If I get to a negative number, I will what? I will basically go to the next number and skip it. So what would you behave, what does the program behave, or what would you expect here out of the program is 5 goes through, no problem, so it's going to show a square root of 10 over 5, which is a square root of 2. Negative 3 goes through, but since it's negative, it's going to basically go to the next number and nothing happens, no number will be shown. 2 goes through and no problem, square root of 10 over 2, square root 5 will be shown. It goes to 0, and 0 is not negative, not positive, so it comes to this else case and then it would break. So it would not even reach to the negative 1 to decide what to do with it, and your loop will break right at 0. So you only will see two numbers, you skip over this and you break at that, right? And let's go ahead and run it. And that's exactly what you see. This is the square root of 2 and this is the square root of 5, which is 10 over 5 and 10 over 2. And that's it. You see clearly negative 3 is skipped, and 0, when it reached to it, the loop stopped, right? So this is what break and continue. Now, what is goto? Here, what I want to do is to show numbers from 8 to 18, but I want to skip number 13. Why? Maybe because, for example, some people are superstitious, they don't like 13, right? Some people love 13, some people don't like it. So let's say in this case, you're one of those who doesn't like it, and you want to show all of the numbers from 8 to 18, but skip over 13. Well, you can do that with a simple what? You can do that with a simple continue command. Say, hey, for a from 8 to 18, basically go ahead and show the number, and if it's 13, then continue, right? Don't do anything. You can do that, or you can do it with a loop, like do while, as I said, which is the same thing, but how would you skip over 13? Instead of skipping it using a continue, you skip it with a goto. What is goto? So in goto, you provide a name. You provide a name and add to define a specific line. So here, for me to be able to go back to line 26, I call line 26 loop. You can call it anything that you want, okay? This is not a keyword. It's just a name that I gave it. Call it whatever you want. And then in front of it, use column right? And then you write your basic commands. So all you do, you call line 26 loop. So later you can say go to loop, which basically means go to line 26. So what am I doing here? I say do while, right? Go ahead and do something and check the condition, and you're starting at 8. I say if the number is 13, add 1 to it, but don't do anything else. Do not show that number. Just go back to what? Go back to 26. So what does it do? When I reach 13, it makes a 14, and it comes back here, and it goes back to the beginning of the do while and checks again against this condition. This time a is 14, not 13, so this is not going to run. It comes to here, it's going to show it, and then it makes it 15 and keep going until a is below 18, right? But if a is not 13, like 8, 9, 10, this if is not going to run, right? So you're going to show the number, you're going to add 1 to it, and you keep going. So you see, for all numbers except 13, you're going to show the number, you're going to add 1 to it, and you're going to keep going. When you get to 13, you're not going to run this C out line. You're just going to go back to what? To line 26, and basically this way you're skipping writing number 13. So as I said, you can do this in a more elegant way and say what? And say for basically here we defined a already, right? And you don't even need to do that int 8. You can just say for int a equal 8, and then a is less than 18, and then a plus plus, and then you say what? You say if basically a equals 13, right? Go ahead and continue. Otherwise, what? Just type that a, like that. And end the while loop, the for loop, I'm sorry. You see, so I can write that using a beautiful for loop like this, and I can avoid all of this. So here I have 25, right? You see here I have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines, right? To get that done, while here I'm doing it in only 5 or 6 lines. I don't even need this brace because continue is a single command within if, so I don't need that. So I can really do the whole thing in 5 lines basically. Much more elegant and much more brief, or briefer you might say. So anyways, this is just goto in case you hear about it somewhere and you're curious what it is. So these are loop controls. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you in my next lecture.